Hello everyone and welcome to the webinar. Now, before we jump into all of the how-tos that I've got for you today, can you just let me know in the chat box that you can hear me okay and where you're dialing in from today? Hopefully we've got people on from all over the world. I can see lots of you just still logging in, and don't worry, we're going to give it another minute or so before we get started. But just type in the chat box on the right hand side of your screen and let me know that you can hear me okay. So we've got lots of people still logging in. Just let me know in the chat box if you can hear me. Okay, fantastic. So we've got Emma from Orpington. Hello, Emma. Obviously, we don't live very far from each other. Who else? Is everybody else hearing me okay? Is it coming through okay, loud and clear? Because I don't want you to miss anything that I'm going to run you through today. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got USA, we've got Wales, we've got London. Fantastic. So people dialing in from all over the world, and that's great that you can hear me. So let's jump into all of the amazing content that I've got for you today. So we're going to be looking at how to set up automated email campaigns in Mailchimp. And before we jump over to Mailchimp and have a look at the system live, as it were, and work through the actual process of setting up an automated series, just want to tell you a little bit more about me. My name is Kate Barrett and I'm the director and founder of Shine a Light Media and the Email Marketing Academy. And you can see on the screen there's lots of ways that you can get in touch with me, and please do, because I would love to hear from you on social media. But just diving into my background and what I've been up to, for the last 10 years, I've been working directly on client email campaigns, working on creating strategies and optimizing their efforts to get the best results. And I've worked with everyone from individual entrepreneurs just getting started with email marketing up to some of the big boys that you can see their logos on the screen at the moment. So working with the likes of Nissan, Adidas, Asda, My Voucher Codes, some fantastic email programs that I've had the opportunity to work on throughout my career. But a couple of years ago, I decided it was time to branch out on my own and start my own business. And since then, I've just gone from strength to strength and enjoyed every second of it. I've enjoyed being on local radio programs, meeting famous entrepreneurs. You can see Theo Pacitis on the screen there. Anyone from the UK particularly will know him from Dragon's Den, and speaking at various conferences, including major exhibition centres in London and shows such as AdTech and the Business Show. So I've kept myself busy doing what I love, which is email marketing. Anyone who knows me will tell you that I have a real passion for email. And that started over 10 years ago when I got my first job. And it was while I was still at university and I was doing a placement year, which turned into a placement year and a half, really, because I loved it so much. And that was working directly for an email service provider. So like Mailchimp is an email service provider, they provide the technology for you to send your emails. That's where I began my career, working on client email campaigns, learning how the systems worked, learning what went into email marketing. And that's where I absolutely fell in love with the channel. The difference that it can make to people's strategies, the results you can achieve, that you can track everything. I absolutely love email. So I've come from those very beginnings of working at an email service provider and worked my way up, working as online marketing manager and global online marketing manager for various different companies in different industries always focusing in on email marketing. So whatever you're experiencing at the moment, wherever you're at with your email marketing, I've been there. I've been through the struggles of trying to plan out your content, of figuring out what to write, when to send it, all of those fun things that we go through when implementing email campaigns. But today I want to take you through using Mailchimp, that specific system, and how you can use it to set up automated email campaigns. So these are campaigns that are triggered automatically based on different rules that you set up in the system. So for example, if somebody signs up to your website, you may want to trigger a series of emails automatically at various intervals after that point of sign up. And this is what automated campaigns can do for you. They can help you to save time because you're automating those emails. You're not sitting there individually pressing the send button on each one. They can help you to improve your customer service by allowing you to, again, automate those processes, automate those questions that you always get asked, to provide value, to provide additional information, to build a relationship with subscribers, and most importantly, if it's the aim of your series, to generate sales. So before I jump into the Mailchimp system, I just want to hear from you guys again not in the chat section, but you'll see next to the chat section, a poll is going to pop up in that right-hand side. And I want to hear from you. I want to know if you already have any emails currently set up in the automated workflows in Mailchimp. So who's already using those workflows? Let me know. Just click yes or no in the poll on the right-hand side and cast your vote. Have you already got emails set up? So I'm going to leave that running for a minute or so, and let's see your responses. Because I'm going to go through all of the elements to set up a new automated workflow, but it would be great to know which of you already have some set up already. So let me know and just cast your vote, yes or no, in the poll on the right-hand side. I want to hear from you. The best way is if we work together, and then we can make sure that we're really pinpointing the information that you want to know. And don't forget, you can ask questions in the chat section throughout, and I will come back to those at the end of the presentation. So I'm just going to give you another couple of seconds to register your votes in the poll. And then I'm going to shut it down and we're going to announce the results. So let me know, are you currently using the automated workflows section in Mailchimp? Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. Let's see what the results are. Okay, so 83% aren't currently using the automated workflows, but 17% of you are. So that's fantastic, and that's really good to know. So I'm going to switch my screen over now so that we can jump straight into the live system. So bear with me for just a moment. Okay, I'm just switching out of the presentation with me. And we'll get Mailchimp up and running, and we'll run you through how to set up these automated workflows. So let me share my screen with you again. Okay, so everybody should now be able to see my screen. Can everyone see Mailchimp? If you just let me know in the chat on the right-hand side that you can see Mailchimp. Okay. Fantastic. So if everyone can see the Mailchimp screen, let's jump straight in and show you how to create the automated workflows in Mailchimp. So When you first start using the automation and you have the paid account, because you need to have a paid account in Mailchimp in order to unlock this functionality. Once you've unlocked it and you come through on the automation tab at the top here, this is the screen you're going to land on. Now, if you're just using the automation for the first time, obviously you won't see any campaigns on this screen, but obviously I've got a few test campaigns set up here just so that you can see what it looks like when you do start to create more and more workflows. Now, a workflow is a group of emails triggered one after the other. Okay, so this is how Mailchimp do it in their system. They group those emails together. So once you're in the automation section, it's a bit of a tongue twister, click on Create Automation Workflow to get started. Okay, so this is the first screen that you're going to see and the first information that you need to set up as you're going through the workflow. So this is where you choose the list that you want to use. So you would have set up the lists in the main list section in Mailchimp, and you're choosing the list that you want this series of emails to be attached to. So you may have multiple lists in your system. This is where you're selecting the specific list that you want to use for this series of emails. So I'm just going to select a test list. And you see, once I've selected a test list, or just any list, obviously, from that drop down, you can now select a workflow. Now, what happens here is that Mailchimp give you lots of different options that they can set up a series of emails for you. It sets up a series that they would recommend. So, for example, if you selected the welcome series, I think that adds 5 emails automatically into the workflow for you. So it gives you a basis to start from in terms of having the setup there. And you can also see there's some of these elements that are grayed out in the account that I'm showing you here. And that's because I'm not using the information that would be required to use these types of workflow. So for example, here, if I had a specific date or a birthday field in my list, then I could use the annually reoccurring event workflow series. So if I want to say happy birthday to somebody every year on their birthday, I could use that series to set it up for me. And you can see there's others here in terms of requiring a connection to e-commerce 360 or Mandrill, and those are additional plugins that Mailchimp has. So it's well worth looking at those, particularly if you are a product-based business. But what I'm going to do for the purposes of today is show you through a custom setup. This is where you have complete control over the emails that are being added. You're not starting with a recommended number. You're going straight from your plans and implementing what you want to implement. So I'm going to select the custom workflow. Now, once you've selected your list and you've selected your workflow, you go into phase 2, which is the setup. Now, all of this is going to look very familiar from when you're setting up your normal campaigns in Mailchimp. It's all very, very similar, just in a slightly different order. So here you give your workflow a name. This is only for your internal use. None of your subscribers are going to see the name that you give to this workflow. It can be anything that you want it to be so that you can easily identify it. So that when you've got a whole list of different workflows that you've set up in the Mailchimp system, you know exactly what this workflow is, what it's connected to, and what it's doing for you. So be descriptive in that workflow name. Now, as we work down, as I said, these are all fields that you will see in the normal campaign building section on Mailchimp. So you want your from name, and as it says here, something instantly recognizable, like your company name. It's the name that is going to be shown when someone sees it in the inbox. Now, your from address is the email address that it is behind that from name. So you need to make sure that these are completed. I'm going to leave these exactly as they are because those are the from name and the email address that I use when I'm sending my emails to my audience. Now, you can tick this option over here, use conversations to manage replies. And exactly as it describes underneath here, it will then filter out those out of office replies that come through. And if anyone does reply to your email with a comment, for example, it will thread that together so that you can see it within the Mailchimp system as well. It still gets sent to you. So if you do want to activate that, just tick the box there. Now, this one, personalize the to field, I recommend leaving that exactly as it is so that it does bring in the recipient's first name when it's saying this email is to this person. So make sure you leave that exactly as it is. Now, there's some other options here, including sending an activity digest. That's completely up to you if you want to have a regular email sent to you every day so that you can be aware of what's going on with your workflow, even without logging into the system. So there's that option there as well. And then we come down into the tracking, and the tracking is so important. This is where the value is in your email marketing, being able to get back to that data and even trigger another workflow from it in the future. So make sure that you track opens, make sure that you track clicks, and I'm also going to tick to track plain text clicks. Now, a plain text version is exactly that. It is a plain text-only email that is sent as a backup to your HTML emails. So when you see your emails coming through and you've got all of that lovely formatting, all of the different colors, you've got images, you've got a link behind a button where it says click now to register, that's HTML, all that pretty stuff. So a text version goes as a backup because some receiving email clients can't accept HTML. So the old Blackberries, they couldn't accept HTML with all the pretty pictures in there. So they went for the text version backup. And now a text version cannot register and open. In order to register and open as a metric, an image pixel has to be fired. So in an HTML email where you've got images, as soon as those images load, there's a special image that's put into that email that tracks the open. That's when the images are loading. Obviously, in a plain text email, you don't have images. You don't have any of that. So you can't track opens, but you can track the clicks. So make sure you're always doing that. If you're using Google Analytics on your website, you can click Google Analytics link tracking and it will add additional tracking onto your links so that you can get some additional information from your Google Analytics system. So if you are using Google Analytics, I recommend you tick this box and you change this title to something memorable so that you know the workflow that these people are coming from onto your website. So well worth doing that if you're using Google Analytics anyway. Now, on the right-hand side here, you can see some additional tracking options. And again, these come from additional functionality within Mailchimp. If you're using that functionality in those plugins, turn on this tracking. But for the purposes of today, I'm just going to skip past those, but just be aware that they are there. And also in terms of the more options, always, always, always leave this box alone. Leave it ticked. You're going to run into major problems if you untick it. So leave that box as it is. And I would also suggest that with video on the left-hand side here, most receiving email clients can't handle playing video straight in the email. So I wouldn't recommend placing the video straight into the email. I would recommend including a link to a landing page or to your YouTube page where that video is hosted. So don't worry too much about that option, but if you are including a video, that's what I would recommend that you do. So that's the setup section, nice and simple there. You can whiz through that. And then we're on to the fun stuff, which is the trigger. So we click to move on to the next section, the third phase, which is trigger on this bottom menu. And here we are. This is where it really starts. Now, you chose your list in the first section, but you didn't go any deeper than that. So for example, if you have on your list subscribers coming in from different sign-up forms on your website, and you're tracking that through a custom field or however else you're tracking or whatever else you're tracking, but we'll use this as an example. You've got two different sign-ups on your website, one that's for a free video series and one that's for a free cheat sheet in terms of the lead magnets. Now, you want different workflows to trigger based on which sign-up form that person's come in from. Now, the rule is, as long as it's in your database, you can use it to segment or trigger an email. And that's what automated workflows are doing. They're triggering emails based on the information you provide in this section. So we're triggering the workflow when the following conditions are met. A subscriber joins the list that we placed in the list and workflow section in step 1. Okay, so that's the first bit. Now, if you want this workflow to also trigger when subscribers are imported, not just when they come in through a specific sign-up form, make sure you tick this box here. Okay, now this is where it gets funky. You can add segmentation conditions. Now, if you've got saved segments that have already been created on your list, they'll show up here. You can see on this test list, I haven't got any segments created. Now that's okay, because I can actually create one on the fly right here and now. So I have a custom field in my database. I can use that as the segment. It all depends on what you have in your database. So here, for example, this is bringing in information based on behavior that the client, the subscriber, has gone through previously. Okay, so if I had a field in my database that said opt-in source, now I know there's one called sign up source here, but this is a slightly different field and it's not a custom field. Now, if I had a custom field, and let's just pretend that that's a custom field, I could then fill in that information. So let's pretend that the last name says opt-in source. I should have set that up before the webinar. Sorry, everyone. Just pretend that says opt-in source. So opt-in source is cheat sheet. So I only want the people that are coming onto that list that are coming in through the cheat sheet. And custom fields are really, really easy to add, by the way. If you want more information on that, I do have a blog on my website and I'll post a link in the chat a bit later. If somebody can remind me to do that, that would be great. But if you have that custom field there, here we're saying when subscribers join the test list, if they, in this custom field of opt-in source, match that they're coming from that cheat sheet opt-in, then you can trigger the emails. Now, you saw there was lots of other options here. So for example, you could base it on automation activity. Which other workflows have they already been through? You can base it on campaign activity. Which campaigns did they open, click, sent, didn't click? All of these different options. So if you send out, let's say, a special offer email, somebody doesn't click on the link in the email. So they didn't click on this specific email. That's the point at which it's going to trigger the series of emails that you will set up in the next phase. Does that make sense to everyone? Because this is a really important section. So I just want to make sure that triggers and how you're using this makes sense. So you're choosing what is the behavior, what's the action, or what's the data that's going to start this series of emails running. Is it a particular opt-in source? Is it particular campaign activity? Is it something they have or haven't done? Is it a particular email client that they're using? Are they using a mobile client and you want to trigger it only to people who are using a mobile client? Does that make sense? Just let me know in the chat section on the right hand side, because this is a really important section and I just want to make sure it makes sense to everyone. So just let me know in the chat section on the right hand side. Okay, so I'm seeing a question from Dana. If I want to send an automated campaign to a custom segment of my list, how do I prepare that so that I can choose it as the list to which I want to send this campaign? So hopefully that's explained it. A segment is a subsection of a list. So you can either set up that segment at the main list level, and that's where you'll see the segments that you've created at the list level, or you can create it on the fly whilst you're in the workflow. So you choose the list in the workflow and list setting down here. And this is where you choose the individual segment. So it's split up into two sections as you go through the initial setup. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so another question from Dana. So everything you're choosing as a trigger is saved as a custom field in your list. No, a custom field is just an example of having additional data in your list that you could trigger from. As you can see here, there are lots of different things that you can trigger from. You can trigger from whether somebody opened or clicked or didn't open or didn't click a previous email. You can trigger an email based on a specific date in your database. What I'm saying is that here you can see I have a limited number of fields in my database. If I had more fields with different information, so for example, if I had somebody's birthday in as an individual field in my database, I could then trigger an email based on the date in that field. So in terms of custom fields, it's just if you have more information or want to add more information about your subscribers for you to trigger emails from, as long as that information is in your database, you'll see it in this list and you can then create it as a segment to trigger from. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'll just give everyone a couple more minutes just in the chat box and let me know if triggers make sense now. If the data's in your list, you can use that to trigger from. If it's not in your list, you can't use it to trigger from. So in this test list, I don't have a birthday field. So I can't trigger an email based on that information because it's not in my database. It's not in my list. Okay, so a trigger is a behavior or known information that you're setting the series of emails to start sending from. Okay, so hopefully that's okay for everybody. Brilliant. So I'll come back to any other questions that there are at the end on that then. So just moving down, once you've chosen any particular conditions that need to be met for that trigger, so your segment up here, you then also get these different options. So send first email immediately to existing subscribers who meet the conditions. So if you've already got subscribers on your database and you're already setting this up today, you're just setting this up today, you may want this workflow to start sending to people who are already on your list that meet conditions, not just new subscribers coming in and meeting those conditions. So you would tick that box if you want the workflow to start for people currently on your list. So you would just tick that box. Then you get the options as to what days and times, excuse me, what days and times the emails should be sent. Now, my recommendation is to leave this as it is. The reason I say that is because if you remove days from the schedule, as you can see, a little warning pops up. It's going to restrict the delivery days because these days apply to every single email in your workflow. You can't set the send days individually on each email. You do that in the main section overall. So if you remove days from the schedule, let's say if you sent an email Email 1 goes on the Tuesday. That's when someone registers, that's when they get their first email. Email 2 is scheduled to send 2 days later. So really, it should be sending on the Thursday. But because you've unticked Thursday and Friday to send emails, that second email isn't going to send until the Saturday. So it will delay those emails and take longer to trigger the series. So where you had intended a delay of 2 days in between the emails, it could end up being a delay of 4 days, depending on how you've set up this section. So I would recommend leaving it as it is. One time that you may want to use this is if you regularly send out a newsletter every Friday and you want to send out your newsletters at the same time that people are going through this workflow, you may want to remove Friday from the sends so that people don't receive too many emails on the Friday, receiving the newsletter and the email from the automation workflow. So that's one way that you may want to use it to just delay those emails ever so slightly. But just be aware of what that does if you do untick any of these options. And in terms of when you are sending the emails, you may want to set it so that it only sends at a specific time of day, and that can be really useful. But again, just remember it applies to every single email. So just be careful how you're using these settings here, but they can be really handy when used in the right way. So that's the trigger section. You're setting up the information about when the emails are going to be sent in terms of time and days of week, and most importantly, the segmentation conditions that people have to meet before they will be sent this workflow. And that's how you send different workflows to different sets of people within your audience by breaking them down into segments, matching those commonalities and bringing those people together. So for example, coming through a specific sign-up form, if somebody's male or female, you might have a different workflow depending on if they're male or female. Whatever that might be, if it's in your database, you can use it to segment and trigger your emails. So that's all of the data side of things taken care of in the first 3 sections of the setup. So let's move on to setting up your actual emails in the workflow. So when you first come into the workflow, and remember, we're using a custom workflow here. So there's no emails that are already being recommended to us to add to the series because we're doing it all ourselves. We're going it alone. It's the best way to do it, I promise. But if you had gone through one of the other routes, then it would say here, we recommend that you send an initial series of 5 emails, 6 emails, whatever their recommendation is for that specific series. So that's when you're choosing the workflow back in stage 1. That will show here and it will say add 6 emails. Okay, so it will just add all of those automatically. Now at the top here, it gives you a summary of what you have set up so far, basically, and it also tells you those segmentation conditions. So I'm going to start adding emails, and to do that, I would simply select add email. But if I already have a workflow set up in my Mailchimp account, and I want to copy that over and copy those emails over into this one, I could simply click this button, import autoresponder content. So that's a little quick tip for you to save you time if you want to duplicate a workflow, or you can just do that and literally click duplicate workflow back in the main workflow list. But if you just want to pull in the emails, you can use that link. But let's add an individual email. So when I click that button, you can see the screen changes. Now I've got an email in there. Yes, my first email's in there. Fantastic. Okay, now let's look at the details. At the moment, it's going to send this first email 1 day after the workflow is triggered. Now, if this is being triggered after somebody signs up, for example, I don't want that first email to go out 1 day after somebody signs up. I want it to go out immediately because it's their welcome email. It's delivering their free cheat sheet to them. So I want to change the delay as to when this email is being sent. So when you click that button, you get these extended options. Now for this first email, I want to drop down this option and select immediately. I want this first email to send immediately. Now, of course, if you don't want it to send immediately and you want to leave it 2 days after the workflow is triggered, so if you're triggering based on a specific date in your database or another specific piece of information, for example, you may want to send it a bit later, and obviously this is where you can change that. But if it's somebody after sign up and this is the first email they're going to receive, after that double opt-in confirmation, because don't forget, Mailchimp sends out that email before somebody's added to your list that asks them to click to confirm. After that email has been clicked on to confirm their subscription, then this email is going to trigger based on the rules that we've set up as we've gone through the workflow. So the first email I want to trigger immediately. Brilliant. Okay. So I know from my plan that I want this series to be a series of 3 emails, and I want each email to send 2 days apart. Now, obviously, your plan could be a series of 6 emails, of 10 emails with different timings depending on where they're at in that series of emails. But just for this example, let's just keep it really simple. So I know that at a basic level, I want 3 emails with 2 days in between each email being sent. So I'm going to add another email, and I'm going to add another email. So now I've got 3 emails in my series. You see that? Automation 1, 2, and 3. So the basics are getting there. We're starting to build the structure of what these emails are going to be. Now, we've already changed the delay on the first one. First email is going to trigger immediately. Brilliant. But hang on a minute. It's already brought in for the second email that it's going to trigger 1 day after this last email. But I don't want that. I want it to be 2 days after the last email. So again, I go into change delay. And this time I change the number, 2 days after the previous email was sent. Now you see here in the boxes, there's various different options: hours, days, weeks, sent, opened, and clicked. So you can choose between these options as to when the next email in the series sends. But remember, in Mailchimp, each subsequent email is triggered based on the previous email. So here, email 2 is now being sent 2 days after the last email, email 1, has been sent out. Okay, so again, for the third email, I don't want it to be 1 day, I want it to be 2 days. So I'm just going to change that option, click save, and now my emails are 2 days apart. So that's how you set up the frequency in the emails. Now, when you actually come to designing the emails, it's exactly the same as you would do with a normal campaign. Now, you can see here the buttons say design emails. That's because we've literally just added the places for these emails so far. We haven't actually done anything to them. So once we go in, we add a template, we add content, it will then switch this button to say edit email. So let me just show you that quickly. So if we click on design email, and again, you'll recognize this from the normal setup. You name your email so that you can identify it. So this one I'm going to call welcome email. And you give your email a subject line, of course, because each subject line is individually attached to each email. So this is where you add the subject line. So I'm just going to write test subject line for now, so that it lets me move on to the next section so that I can show you. But obviously you want to really craft your subject line. But welcome emails do really well when you literally say welcome in the welcome email subject line. So just remember that as well. Now, the Google Analytics title, if you switch that on earlier on in the process, like we discussed, you can make a change to that here to reference the specific email that it's coming from if you wanted to. So that option's there. Then we move on to the second stage in the email, and that's choosing your template. Now, you may have saved templates that you want to use. You may have different campaigns that you've sent previously that you want to bring in that design from, but just choose your template as you would in a normal campaign in Mailchimp. That adds it into the design section. You can see we've moved to the third stage now, and this is where you would then add the content for the email. So each individual email, you would go through this same process, add your content, and again, it's exactly the same as usual. Drag and drop, click on the little pen to edit a specific area, click on the bin icon to delete a specific block that you've put into an email. Don't forget to edit the pre-header up in the top section here. The first line of text that appears in your email backs up the subject line, so don't forget to make a change to that. But everything in here works exactly the same as it would if you were building a normal campaign in Mailchimp. So one other thing to mention here before we go back into the main workflow is don't forget to always test your emails. So if you want to test individual emails whilst you're going through and creating each section, up here you can see preview and test. So if you just want to have a look at something, see how it looks as you're building it, you can click to enter preview mode. And that will show you the desktop version and the mobile version of how your email is currently going to look with your content. Click the little X to exit out of preview mode. And then if you want to send yourself a test, and you should always do this, particularly before you get the email sending, to make sure that everything looks as it should, all of the links work, send yourself a test email using this option. Add in your email address that you want to send a test to. There's various other options here that you can use. Click send test, and that will confirm that you've sent the test. Okay, so let's return back into the workflow, because that's just the standard process of building an email in Mailchimp. Now you can see that the title of this first email has changed. It's now called welcome email, and that's where I changed it in the setup of the email. And the button is now changed to edit because I've already begun putting in some of that content, putting in the template and putting in any copy and images that I want into that email. So you can see the difference between edit and design email when you haven't actually done anything and gone through that initial process yet. So in terms of sending a test email, you can also test from this main workflow section. Now you see at the top here, there's this link, send a test email. So you click on that button and you can actually test all of your emails at the same time. So just before you set the workflow live and confirm it, you may want to do a final test of all of your emails. Rather than individually going into each one, you can use this functionality to test all of them, or of course, you can also choose a specific email here to test as well if you just want to test one. But it's quite handy to be able to send yourself a test of all of the emails. Okay, so that is the main section looking at the actual emails that go into the series that you want to send. So once you've got your content in there, your emails, you've worked out your delays, so the frequency of the emails that you're sending, everything's perfect, you're ready to go, we click on confirm. So this is the final phase of setting up the automated campaigns. Now, if you've missed something out as you've gone through, Mailchimp will give you warnings. So you can see here there's a warning to resolve the issues below before I can start the workflow. So if I scroll down, I can see the issues are, I haven't added any content to email 2 and 3. Now, obviously, we know that that's absolutely fine. So I'll just leave those as they are. But can you see I can't start the workflow until everything's resolved in here. So this is a great place just to do a double check on all the information that you've set up. You can see this summary here, the list you're sending to, the tracking that's turned on, the conditions that are met, delivery settings that you've put in there, all the things we've worked through as we've gone through the series. So then you'll be able to start the workflow. You'll click that button, and as Mailchimp does, it will give you the big thumbs up once you've pressed the good to go button. So that is how to set up an automated workflow in Mailchimp. Those are the processes, that's the series that you need to go through, and all the little ins and outs of those different areas. So Before we come on to questions, I'm just going to jump back into my presentation because there's a little bit more information that I want to bring to you. So just bear with me for one moment. Okay, let me just share this screen with you again. So we're back in the presentation and hopefully everyone can see my screen. Okay, I'll just give that a second to catch up. Brilliant. So that's how you set up the technical aspects of the automated workflows in Mailchimp. Now it's your turn to jump into Mailchimp and get started. So there was a big chunk of you who hadn't used automated workflows in Mailchimp and hadn't got any campaigns set up in there. So hopefully I've broken that down and it just shows that it's not as complicated and scary as it seems. But the key point here is that, yes, I've showed you how to actually set it up in Mailchimp, but planning really holds the key to your email marketing success, because without a plan, you don't know which emails you want to set up in the email section in Mailchimp. You don't know what you want that frequency to be. You're just guessing. You don't know what you want the content of each of those emails to be so that the series works together in a really cohesive way. So you need to have that plan in place to really help you. So if you've ever felt frustrated, I know I have, just staring at that blank piece of paper or a Word document, if you're more of a computer buff when you're writing your emails, trying to come up with those content ideas for your next newsletter. It can just be absolutely frustrating. If you're overwhelmed and you're wearing all the hats in your business and you're struggling for time to get everything done, we all know what that's like as an entrepreneur when you've got yourself being pulled in 100 different directions. So if you've ever felt frustrated or overwhelmed or challenged to actually send out those manual emails on a regular basis, get out your regular newsletters, or if you're unsure as to where to start with planning, what to send, how often to send it, all of those questions that come up so regularly and so many people struggle with, or if you have a lack of knowledge and don't really know how to get the results that you want from those regular emails and autoresponders, if you've ever felt like that, you need to know there's a better way. And I want to introduce you to the Email Marketing Planning Kit. I want to finally help you take the frustration and confusion out of planning your newsletters and autoresponders. Really break it down, make it really simple for you so that you can work through a proven step-by-step process. And I do that by breaking the kit down into 3 modules. Now, this is a do-it-yourself kit, but I'm going to walk you through the main elements. So in module 1, we look at the welcome email. So we've mentioned that already when we looked at setting up that very first email in Mailchimp that sends immediately after somebody registers, that welcomes them into the program and thanks them for registering. It gets that relationship off on the right foot, and it allows you to obviously deliver your special offer, your lead magnet. So what I've got for you here to make sure that this really critical email is set up and working to maximum capacity for you, I've got a welcome email checklist of all of the key elements that you need to include in your emails, in your welcome email, sorry. But I also give you optional elements and some other fun ideas of some things that you may want to include. But I also give you welcome email swipe file copy. I'm going to give it straight to you so that you can just fill in those personal details of what the benefits of your email program are, for example, why people should register for your emails. So I don't leave you high and dry by just giving you the checklist and the swipe copy. I've got a video that goes with each module that explains not only why the element is so important and how it can benefit you, but also how to use the accompanying downloads, the checklist and the swipe file copy here to really get the most out of your welcome email. And then module 2 breaks down your content creation. So this is where we're generating ideas and getting your consistency. You're not going to waste any more time worrying about what to say in your messages that's going to really engage your audience, because the content creation workbook will give you a proven step-by-step process to develop an in-depth content idea breakdown for your emails, whether that's your regular newsletters, your special offer emails, or your automated campaigns to put into your Mailchimp workflow. I'm going to give you that proven step-by-step process. And all these processes I've developed over the last 10 years of working with different brands in different industries, from entrepreneurs to those really big brands. These are the processes that I use with those kinds of companies. So I'm also going to give you here a content creation calendar, because I find that a lot of people really struggle with that consistency. But this calendar isn't just about plotting on the calendar when you're going to send the emails. It goes so much further. So you know exactly what you're sending, when you're going to send it, what the purpose of it is, that it's really going to engage your audience. This module brings those content ideas together and gives you the tools to really get consistent and engaging with your messages. And then, of course, module 3 looks at automated email campaigns. So you may know of them as triggered emails or autoresponders, or as we've seen today, they're in an automation workflow. So they've got lots of different names, but I'm going to help you take the stress out of planning your automated campaigns and teach you how you can use email marketing to automate your processes and create that freedom and flexibility in your business, to create those leads and revenue while you sleep, to get people buying from you on that consistent process. So the automated campaign workbook gives you that tried and tested step-by-step process to plan out the timing and the content and the objectives of your automated campaigns. And again, I'm not going to leave you high and dry. I've got 2 automated campaign examples for you so that you can see what a fully planned out automated campaign looks like. And that includes a limited time offer sales funnel series and a reactivation series. So a lot of people find, and you will find as you grow your list, there will be a segment of your list that doesn't engage with your emails after a certain period of time. You want to reactivate them. I've got that series planned out for you in module 3. So we're working through and really taking that confusion, that frustration, that overwhelm, saving you time because you're following that step-by-step process. You're not just bouncing around all over the place. You're focused. You know exactly what you need to do, and it's going to get you that end result of a solid plan that you can then implement into the Mailchimp workflows. So the planning kit, as I just said, is going to save you time by automating those campaigns for you, taking the customer service, improving it. There are so many things that you can do with automated campaigns, and I walk you through those in the video that goes along with the automated campaign section. So it's really valuable there. But we're going to take the frustration, confusion, and guesswork out of planning those emails. We're going to answer your questions. How much of my content should be sales related and how much of it should be value related? How often should I send my emails? All of that is answered in the email marketing planning kit. I'm going to talk you through those step-by-step proven systems that are going to take you from overwhelm to clarity with your email marketing strategy and put you head and shoulders above the competition. Now, I've got 2 options for you with the email marketing planning kit. There is the absolute no-brainer price of £97 for the standard package. Now, in the standard package, you get everything that we've just discussed in the email marketing planning kit. Those 3 modules, the videos that go alongside them, and the downloads, the swipe copy, the checklist, the workbooks, the examples of the campaigns. You've got all of those in the standard package. Then I also want to give you 3 exclusive bonuses. Bonus one is an email marketing best practice example ebook. I'm going to show you examples of how the techniques that we talk about within the kit are being used by other people in real life. You're going to have those best practice examples right there, and there's over 25 of them for you to sink your teeth into. I've also got a second bonus for you, which is basically what we've done today. It's how to create those automated campaigns in Mailchimp. So you've got access to that whenever you need it. And I've got a cheat sheet for you, which if you hang on for just a little bit longer, I'm going to give you access to today for being such an amazing audience with me today. So hang on and I'll give you the cheat sheet anyway today as well. But also I've got the third bonus for you, which is joining me in my exclusive Facebook group so that you can network with and share and generate those relationships with other like-minded entrepreneurs like yourself. And of course, I'm in the group as well, so you can always ask me any questions that you want to in there as well. Now, for those of you who want a little bit more of an upgrade and a little bit more of an intensive that includes some time with me, I've also put together the VIP planning kit package. Now, if you want this, you're going to have to be quick because I've only got 10 spots available. But you get everything that we've just discussed, all the bonuses, all the modules, but you also get two other really special elements. You get an exclusive 3-hour one-to-one intensive session with me so that you can benefit from my experience, my knowledge. You can ask me any questions you want. We can plan out campaigns for you. We can focus in on the areas that are important to you to get you results within those 3 hours. But not only that, I'm also going to give you video feedback review of your welcome email. So when you've implemented your welcome email and you've optimized it and you've looked at the swipe copy and the key elements checklist, send it over to me and I'm going to send you a personal video review of your welcome email so that you can make any amendments to it to make it even better. So those are the two package options that I have for you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the floor to any questions. And while I'm opening up the floor, you can feel free to ask me any questions about the email marketing planning kit or anything that we've been through today. And I'm also going to put a link on the right-hand side so that you can get straight through to the sales page to choose the package that you would like to go with. So the email marketing planning kit is really going to take you from that overwhelm to clarity, and I would love to see as many of you in there as possible. My clients are already getting amazing results and seeing the difference by using these step-by-step strategies, and I would love to see you do exactly the same thing. So hopefully you can see the button on the right-hand side that will take you through to find out a little bit more if you want to, or if you just scroll down, you'll see the two package options that I've just described to you. And I'm also going to, let me see if I can pop up two at the same time. Oh, no, it switches them. I will in just a moment pop up a link to download your free cheat sheet as well, but I will also send that to you in an email. And that just gives you the main elements that we've discussed today with some screenshots just to remind you of all the key elements that you need to go through when you're creating those automated campaigns. So in the chat section, let me know any questions you've got about anything we've discussed today or about the email marketing planning kit. Okay, let's see what questions we've got here. Okay, so Yamil asks, I would need to be able to send a different series of emails for different demographics, such as living in different cities. Would I use the trigger section? Yes, absolutely. If you're creating that series of emails, you would then use where you go into the trigger tab, absolutely. And you would then, in the segmentation conditions, add that demographic information as a segmentation condition. So yes, absolutely. Okay, so Robin has asked, he says he's taking notes, but he's hoping it's being recorded. And shared, absolutely. I will be sending the replay out after the webinar, Robin, so don't worry. Okay, so if I had a series of 52 emails, one for each week of the year, I would need to set up all 52 before Mailchimp will give me the thumbs up to start sending the workflow as people opt onto my site, correct? Yes, absolutely. So Robin, if you're sending those emails based on somebody's sign up date, and for the next year after they sign up, they're sent those 52 emails, yes, you would want to set them up in the system. When you set a workflow running, you can't change the list or the workflow settings, but you can change the emails. So don't worry too much about that. But yes, you do need them all set up in the system. And obviously they would then trigger 1 week apart. So hopefully that answers your question there, Robin. Has anyone got any other questions that they'd like me to ask? Just let me know in the chat section on the right-hand side. And if you've got any questions about the email marketing planning kit, and if it's right for you, let me know. I'm here for as long as you need me. I'm not going anywhere. So just let me know. And I will send out a replay so that you can go back over any of this information. And of course, if you do get yourself on the email marketing planning kit, you've got that bonus module in there as well that will contain all of these instructions and the cheat sheet as well. Okay, so is there any other questions? Would anyone like to know anything about the email marketing planning kit and how it can help you? Or have you all had enough information and you're all raring to get on there? Who's going to be the first one to join me on the email marketing planning kit? I would love to see you in that exclusive Facebook group and working through the step-by-step processes that I've developed for you to really make it easy to plan out all of your campaigns. So you're going to go through and take that frustration and confusion out of creating your normal newsletters, your special offer emails, your automated campaigns, what to send, when, how many emails to send in terms of sales emails versus value emails. Just let me know if you want to join me in there. I'm waiting to see who's going to be the first one to jump in and join me on the kit. Who's fast on the buttons and is going to click through and jump in and get planning out those emails. Because obviously we need that implementation, which we've looked at today in Mailchimp, but you need that plan in place first. Okay, so Kirsten asks, is it good for product-based businesses? Absolutely. Whether you're a consumer-based business or whether you're a business-to-business based business, the planning kit will take you through those different elements. So for example, in the welcome email, I've got an example in that initial video of the best type of offer to use in your welcome email. So that relates specifically to product-based businesses, whereas in other sections I've got specific examples for those service-based businesses. So whatever type of business you have, the key here is working through the steps and planning out your emails, planning out your content. So regardless of product-based or service-based, absolutely, this is really going to help you to get that clarity and get that plan. So no problems. Okay, so Dana, the answer is nope, that's absolutely fine. You can purchase the planning kit later today. You're out of the office at the moment. That's absolutely fine. Yes, you will be able to purchase the kit later on today. That's absolutely fine. But it would be great to see who's going to be first on the call today to get into the kit. So let's see who's going to be the first one to come through. I'm keeping an eye on my email. Who's going to be the first to beat that overwhelm, get into the kit and start working through the proven step-by-step processes? Who's going to be the first one in? Okay, any other questions just while we're waiting to see? And don't forget to get in quick, because those bonuses won't be around forever. They are limited time bonuses, so they will disappear at some point. It's going to be a surprise. So get in now and get those bonuses. And what I'm going to do, because you guys have been so fantastic today, is the first person that confirms their purchase and comes through to purchase, I will also give a free 30-minute one-to-one consult to. So if you're thinking about taking out the standard package, I will also have a one-to-one 30-minute consult where you can pick my brains about anything email marketing and to help you work through the kit. So let me know. It's an extra special on-the-spot bonus that I'm bringing you there. Okay, so I've got a question about handling conversions. Can we update the list in Mailchimp so that they no longer receive the pitch? Absolutely. There's two ways to do that. There's the manual way, which if you don't have a lot of subscribers, may be the way you want to go. Whereas as long as you've got that field in the database that you record whether they've purchased or not, you would then make that one of the segmentation conditions. So you would say that this field says no, they haven't purchased. So it depends how you've got the field set up in your database. The better way to do it is if you are a product-based business, for example, and you link together e-commerce 360 with Mailchimp. It's one of their plugin providers. Or you can also have a look at Mandrill as well. But that will automatically then pull in that purchase information. So for example, I know there's an automatic link with Etsy, for example, in terms of some data and various other systems. So have a look at how you're selling and what you're selling, and make sure that that data is feeding into the system. And as long as the data's in there, as the rule says, you can then trigger based on it. So hopefully that answers that question there as well. Okay, any other questions from anybody? I'm here as long as you need me. I can see that we've still got lots of people on the line. So any questions, anything you want to know about? And of course, don't forget my extra special surprise bonus, a free half-an-hour one-to-one with me for the first person that is confirmed to purchase on the line today, the email marketing planning kit. So who's it going to be? Who's going to be that first person through to make that purchase? So just click on the button on the right hand side to go through to the email marketing planning kit page and scroll down to see the two options. You've got the £97 option, which is an absolute bargain in itself for all of that amazing content. And then you've got the £397 option, if you would like to have some exclusive time with me as well, and that video review of your welcome email. So who's going to be the first one through? Are there any other questions before we jump off the line? And I will send around the cheat sheet and a replay of the webinar after we get off the line today. Okay, and yeah, Marilyn, answer your question. No, that's absolutely fine. The link that you can see on your screen and the link that when you click on the button on the right hand side, that page will be there for the next week or so. Get in there quick because it will be disappearing at some point in terms of the extra bonuses, but you will be able to purchase the email marketing planning kit going forward. It's just the extra special bonuses you may miss out on if you wait too long. So it will still be available, and I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible in there, because it would be great to really take as many of you from overwhelmed to clarity as possible, save you time, and get you generating that revenue while you sleep with the automated campaigns. So are there any other questions before we jump off the line? It has been really great speaking to you all today, and hopefully you found it really helpful and it's broken down that process in Mailchimp a little bit more for you. Okay, any other questions before we jump off the line? Just let me know. And I will send you the cheat sheet for being fantastic audience, and I will send you the replay as well, so don't worry about that. Okay. Fantastic. So are there any other questions? Just let me know. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, and if there's no more questions, I will leave you to the rest of your Monday. So just let me know in the chat function if there are any other questions. If you haven't purchased the email marketing kit yet, what's holding you back? Are there any questions that I can answer or anything I can help to clarify? Just let me know in the comments box. Just let me know if there's anything else, anything that's holding you back from getting started with the email marketing planning kit. It's going to stop you from struggling. Just let me know. Okay, so if there are no other questions, I'm going to love you all and leave you all. And don't forget, I've got my next webinar on the 26th of February. So don't forget to check that one out. And you can find me over on my Facebook page or, of course, over on Twitter. So thank you so much for being an absolutely fantastic audience. And thanks so many of you for joining. And I'll see you again next time. Bye, everyone. Oh, okay, before I go, wait, I've just seen another question come in, so I won't say goodbye yet. One more question. How many workflows is normal? How long is a piece of string? You can have as many workflows as you need in your business. So you can have triggers coming off from all over the place. There are so many different places that you can trigger emails from. And in the email marketing planning kit, I go through that in the automated campaigns video and talk you through loads of examples. So the answer to how many workflows is normal is as many as you like, as many as make sense for your business. So thank you for that last question, and I will say goodbye now. So over and out. Thanks, everyone.